Hi everyone! About 3 or 4 years ago I did a video on atmospheric books for Halloween time, and I thought it's about time I updated it. So again, these are not exactly spooky, scary books, they're not horror or anything, but this is the list of 10 books updated that I think would be perfect for Halloween season. So I'm going to recommend those to you today. So the first one I want to talk about is the one I actually spoken about many times on my channel. That is The Silent Companions by Laura Purcell. I first listened to the audiobook of that, and then after that bought a physical copy, and I've been meaning to reread it ever since but haven't done it yet. But the audiobook especially was creepy. Like, this one is probably the creepiest book on this list. It is a historical fiction novel. In this one we follow the main character, Elsie, who just got married. They moved into his house and everybody seems to be not really friendly with her at all. So she's completely alone all the time, apart from when she started to notice that there is a wooden figure that looks exactly like her. At times it was super properly creepy. It was scary at times. And I remember reading it, listening to it, I was creeped out quite a few times. So this one is definitely a good one for this season. And I've really enjoyed it. This is one of my favourite books, I think maybe of all time. And I would like to reread this one in a physical copy and see what I think of it. But the audiobook on Audible, I can't remember who it was narrated by. It was perfect. I really enjoyed it. Proper, spooky and perfect. The next one is again by Laura Purcell, but I think it has to be mentioned, and that is The Corset by Laura Purcell, of course. So another historical fiction. In this one we follow two main characters. So we've got Ruth, who is supposedly killed her mistress, and then we also have Dorothy, who she goes to different prisons pretending that it's just for charity, but actually she's basically studying their skulls. So, and the two fates of the two women intertwine, and there's a mystery surrounding that because Dorothy is interviewing Ruth as well. This again was creepy at times. It was dark and disturbing in some moments as well. There's always a little bit of like whether it's actually happening, like supernatural elements, whether they're actually happening or whether it's just in the character's head. So there's that to that as well. And the atmosphere of both these books actually is incredible. It's very immersive, it's dark, and the writing style is absolutely gorgeous. She can write any scene in such a beautiful way that it's just incredible. So these two books are absolutely perfect for this season. So the next one on my list is The Crossing Places by Ellie Griffiths, but to be honest I think it goes with any book in Dr. Ruth Galloway series. I've mentioned these books on my channel before as well, but I do feel like they're perfect for this season just for their atmosphere and because they're mystery novels as well. So in this one we follow again two main characters. We've got Ruth Galloway, who is a forensic archaeologist, and we also have DCI Nelson, who is a police detective. Their paths cross quite a few times. They have to work together, solve mysteries of the past and also the present, because somehow the crimes of the past somehow involved in the current situation of mysteries or murders or something like that. And again, like I said, the atmosphere of these books is absolutely immersive and dark. I think it does help that the main character Ruth, she lives in a remote place by the marsh where only two houses next to her. It's got a lot to do with that as well, with the stories. I've read 4 books from the series so far and I'm definitely really enjoying them. Can't wait to read more because I've got 6 more. I bought the box set a while ago, so I'm slowly making my way through these, but I do think they're really atmospheric. They're not exactly creepy, but there are elements of creepiness, and it's perfect for the season again. The next book I actually read quite a few years ago, and that is Playing with Fire by Tess Gerritsen. I don't remember a lot about this one. I just remember that we've got the main character whose daughter, who's 5 years old, is suddenly starting to behave really dangerously, as in she's doing some things that a 5-year-old shouldn't be doing, and so the main character is wondering what the hell is going on with her daughter. And I remember in this book there were a few elements that were added to the story that I didn't know about, so I don't particularly want to say anything. But it's not just that layer of the story, there's a second underlayer of the story as well, which is somehow woven into the main story that does make sense. And I found this book creepy, and also the mystery element of what's happening was really interesting to me. There's also I would say a lot to do with music as well, because the main character really likes music, so that added a little extra something to the story. So I did find it a little bit creepy and interesting, and I think also there are some beautiful moments in there as well to do with music and other underlayer of the story, so I would highly recommend this one. Then we've got the one that I wasn't a big fan of, but I think it would be worth mentioning this one anyway. So it is Thin Air by Michelle Paver. So this one is, I think, based on real life events, I think. So we've got this group of people who are going to the Himalayas, to the highest mountain in the world. They're trying to climb it, and things start happening. I don't know how true that is based in real life, but yeah, I would say though that it doesn't, like, the creepy element doesn't come in as much as I wanted it to. That's probably why I'm getting rid of the book. Still haven't got rid of it. But again, the atmosphere in there is quite dark because they're obviously quite remote from civilization. They're mostly in the dark a lot of the time as well. And once things start happening, again, you're wondering whether that's in their head or whether it's actually happening. So that element was quite interesting. And I did enjoy this book, but not massively. But I do think a lot of other people would enjoy this book, especially for the creepy atmosphere and what actually happens. The last 50 pages were the best ones. So yeah. Now to break things up a little bit, I've got a children's book, or middle grade, and that is The House with Chicken Legs by Sophie Anderson. This one, it's not exactly creepy or scary, but the atmosphere is there. So we follow our main character, who is a girl who lives in a house with chicken legs, and her grandmother, who is Baba Yaga. She's a woman who is supposedly bringing souls of the dead into the new world. So I think that sounds a little bit atmospheric and creepy, perfect for the season. But also the cover as well. I found the atmosphere of the book is the thing that really captivated me the most. It was dark and mysterious. I really enjoyed this book and I would love to reread it one day. So yeah, and it's got nice illustrations as well throughout it, like that, and yeah, I would recommend this one. Then I've got the edition in Russian, but it's Angel's Game by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. So this one is his second book in the Cemetery of Forgotten Books series. I've heard a lot of people talking about The Shadow of the Wind, which I did really enjoy, but I think this one would suit the Halloween mood much better. So in this one we follow our main character, who is a writer, and it's set in Barcelona, 1960s, I believe. There's this mysterious figure up here in the book that seems to be pushing the main character to do something unusual. Sorry for being extremely vague, but I don't want to spoil anything. The atmosphere, it's definitely there. It's dark, it's disturbing at times, the things that happen, I would say. And again, there are some things that you think whether it's actually happening, whether it's in the character's head, again, which I found really disturbing and really interesting. I think it's one of the best books that Carlos Ruiz Zafón has ever written. And yeah, would highly recommend this one, especially if you like Shadow of the Wind by the author. This one I think is a must read. The next one is not exactly creepy or Halloweeny or anything, but for some reason when I think about the spooky sort of books, this does come to mind, and that is The Doll Factory by Elizabeth McNeil. I really love this book. It was, again, the atmosphere. This is a historical fiction. It's set in London, 1850, and again we follow two main characters. We've got Iris, who is an inspiring artist. She wants to learn how to paint. And we also follow Silas, who's got an interesting hobby, shall we say, without spoiling anything. And their paths cross one day when they accidentally see each other somewhere. And to Iris it was just an encounter that she's forgotten straight away, but to Silas it becomes an obsession, and the obsession is darkening. So I think Silas's hobby adds to the creepiness of the story, and Silas was a very interesting character, definitely very, very interesting, and I haven't forgotten about him after reading this book, so I think he's one of my favourite characters. The atmosphere, like I said, is creepy and dark, and the writing style though is so beautiful. It's amazing. So again, highly recommend this one. Then we have another historical fiction, and that is Things in Jars by Jess Kidd. I only recently read this book, and again it's set in London, but I don't remember when, 1863. So we follow the main character whose name is Bridie, and she is a female detective. She's dealing with a case of a child that was not supposed to exist. Can't tell you much about it, but probably the title will tell you some things. There are some creepy things happening, and again there are different layers to the story, I would say, and there's one element that is not described in the blurb, but you'll see it later on in the book, which I think again adds to the story, adds to the creepiness of it, adds to the atmosphere. And I really, really enjoyed this book. The main character as well was really funny, so it's not exactly like dark and heavy book. I would say it's dark but also light-hearted at the same time, if that makes any sense. So I did really enjoy this one. And then the last book that I want to mention is a YA fantasy maybe, and that is The Beautiful by Renee Ahdieh. I need to reread this book because I've got the second book that I started but put down for whatever reason, and I need to carry on with it. And I know the third one is coming out in January, which I've already pre-ordered, so I need to reread this one, then read that one, and then read the third one. But this one is a vampire fantasy book. I'm going to read you the blurb this time because it sounds mysterious when I read it out loud. In 1872, New Orleans is a city ruled by the dead. But to 17-year-old Celine Rossieux, it's always a safe haven after she's forced to flee her life in Paris. Quickly enraptured by the vibrant city, from its music to its extravagant soirs, and even its danger, she soon becomes embroiled in the city's glitzy underworld, and particularly the group known as La Cour des Lions. But when a body is found in their lair, Celine is forced to battle her attraction for the group's enigmatic leader, Sebastien Saint-Germain, and suspicions about his guilt, along with her own secrets. As more bodies are discovered, New Orleans becomes gripped by the terror of a serial killer on the loose, one who seems to have Celine in his sights. But when she finally takes matters into her own hands, she finds herself caught in the midst of an age-old feud between the darkest creatures of the night, where the price of forbidden love is her life. To me that sounds great, and I can't wait to reread this one as well. And again, the atmosphere was incredible. I think the author did a really good job of describing the streets and everything of the past. Not that I know, because I wasn't alive back then, but it did feel really real, and I really enjoyed this book. The mystery aspect of it, the characters, the atmosphere, the story, how it was like thickening and all that, I loved it. Can't wait to reread it again. If you have any books to recommend to me based on the ones that I've just recommended to you, please leave them in the comments down below and I will check them out. If you like this video, please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Bye!